Alien warrior grabbed Earth girl's collar, woke up unable to speak. Lights glowed softly along the walls, and the hum of machinery filled the air. Emma was nervous. She had traveled far from Earth to inspect a damaged alien ship that had docked for repairs. It was her first time outside the solar system, and she could feel the weight of every step she took. She adjusted the strap of her tool bag and took a deep breath. "Just another inspection," she whispered to herself. She tried to calm the flutter in her chest. Humans were not common here. Most species treated them with curiosity or suspicion. The Draxan, the species that owned the damaged ship, were known for their strength and temper. Even seeing one close made her stomach tighten. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the bay. Emma froze. A Draxan warrior stepped out of the shadows. He was massive, taller than any human she had ever seen. His skin was gray and rough like stone. His eyes were dark and sharp. He moved with grace, but every movement showed power. His hands were huge, tipped with claws. "Who are you?" the Draxan demanded in a voice that vibrated through the floor. Emma swallowed hard. She tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. She raised her hand slowly, holding her tools to show she meant no harm. "I'm Emma Carter," she said finally, her voice small. "I'm here to inspect the ship. I won't touch anything without permission." The Draxan stepped closer, studying her. Emma could feel his eyes on her, heavy and examining. "Humans," he said finally, almost as a warning. "You should not be here," she nodded. "I understand, I'll be quick. I just need to see the damage and make a report." But before she could move, the Draxan reached out. His hand closed around her collar, lifting her slightly off the ground. Emma gasped. The pressure was strong, but strangely, she did not feel pain. Instead, a strange warmth spread through her chest, and her mind went sharp. Something happened then that neither of them expected. Emma's fear, her quick heartbeat, and the sudden contact triggered an unusual response in her body. Her skin tingled and her senses heightened. The Draxan felt it too. His body stiffened. He tried to speak, to warn her to call for help, but his voice failed. His throat froze. The growl he tried to make turned into silence. Emma's eyes widened. She did not understand what was happening. She dropped her bag in surprise. The Draxan stumbled backward, confusion written on his face. He could move, but no sound came from him. He tried again, but only silent motion escaped. Others in the bay began to notice. Draxan guards ran toward them, but they hesitated when they saw their warrior struggling. Whispers spread quickly. The humans watching from the observation deck gasped. A young human engineer named Lisa Brown shouted through a comm channel. "Emma, are you okay?" Emma nodded quickly. She could not speak very loudly because her heart was racing, but she tried to explain. I did mean it just happened." The Draxan warrior, still mute, glared at her. His eyes were wide with fear and frustration. He stomped the ground, trying to get attention, but no sound came out. The guards looked unsure, and a tense silence fell over the bay. Finally, a senior Draxan officer arrived. His skin was darker and smoother than the warrior's, and he carried himself with authority. He stepped between Emma and the silent Draxan. "What is happening?" he demanded. His voice was calm but carried the weight of command. The Draxan warrior pointed at Emma and shook his head violently. He could not speak, but his message was clear. The humans tried to explain, but the officers only grew more suspicious. They had heard stories of humans with strange powers, but no one had ever seen anything like this before. Emma was moved to a small room near the docking bay. Her hands shook as she sat on a metal bench. Her tool bag lay forgotten on the floor. She watched as the silent warrior was carried away, still unable to speak. The sound of heavy boots and clanging metal echoed in her ears. She felt guilty. This was not supposed to happen. She was only doing her job. She had no weapons, no tricks, no way to control what had just occurred. And yet somehow the Draxan warrior had been affected. The station filled with tension. Alarms were quiet, but the atmosphere was heavy. Whispers ran from one corridor to another. Other aliens on the station stared at the humans. No one understood what had just happened, but everyone knew it was dangerous. After a while, a human envoy named John Miller arrived. He was older than Emma, with gray streaks in his hair and calm eyes. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Emma, you did nothing wrong," he said. "We need to understand this, but you are safe here." Emma nodded, though she still felt shaky. She had never been so close to real danger. The Draxan warrior's strength, the silence he struggled with, it all made her heart race. She thought of Earth, of the people she loved, and the simple life she had left behind. And yet, she also felt a strange pride. Somehow, humans had survived this moment without hurting anyone. Somehow, her presence alone had shown a strange strength. The hours passed slowly. Scientists, both human and alien, ran scans on Emma and on the silent Draxan. No human had ever caused a Draxan to become mute. Theories were whispered: psychic feedback, biological overload, stress-induced neural shock. But no one could confirm. The Draxan were frightened. The humans were curious, and Emma just wished for everything to calm down. As night fell over the station, Emma sat by the window of her small room. She looked out at the stars, countless points of light stretching into the dark void. She thought about the Draxan warrior. She thought about the moment his hand had grabbed her collar and the strange reaction that followed. She did not understand it, but she knew one thing. Humans were not weak. A knock on the door startled her. Lisa Brown, the young engineer, stepped in with a small tray of food. "Don't worry," she said softly. "We'll figure this out. You're okay, that's what matters." Emma smiled faintly. "Thank you," she said. Even if her voice felt small, it was steady. I hope he gets better soon. He didn't mean to grab me." Lisa nodded. "He'll be fine. The problem is, now everyone thinks humans are dangerous. We'll have to explain, show them we're not a threat." Emma sighed. The stars outside seemed calm, but the station inside was tense. She realized that something had changed. Humans were no longer just visitors here. Even without trying, they had shown the galaxy a glimpse of their hidden strength. She ate a little, but her mind kept turning over the event. She imagined the warrior's confusion, his frustration. She imagined how the Draxan would react when they learned the truth. She imagined her life back on Earth, and how different it felt to be in this place, in this moment, in a galaxy full of unknown dangers. And deep inside, Emma felt a strange determination. Humans had survived for thousands of years on a small, dangerous planet. Maybe, just maybe, they could survive in this galaxy too. And maybe, just maybe, even when the galaxy feared them, humans would choose to act with wisdom, not just power. The first part of Emma's journey had ended. The Draxan warrior remained mute, the station was uneasy, and the galaxy had just begun to notice the strange resilience of humans. Emma knew more challenges were coming, but she also knew something else. Humans had a way of turning fear into strength, even without meaning to. And that, she thought quietly, was just the beginning. The station was quiet, but the tension in the air was heavy. Word had spread quickly about the incident with Emma Carter and the Draxan warrior. The Draxan officers were unsure what to do. Their strongest soldier had been rendered mute by a human touch, and the galaxy had never seen anything like it. Emma sat in the small room, staring out at the stars. Her mind was restless. She did not know what the Draxan would think of her now. She did not know if humans would be trusted here again. She could feel a quiet fear in her chest, but she pushed it down. Fear was dangerous, but calm thinking could help. A communicator beeped. John Miller, the human envoy, appeared on the screen. "Emma, I want you to stay calm," he said. "We've requested permission to meet with the Draxan Council. They are confused, but they want answers. Your safety is our priority." Emma nodded. "I understand," she said. "I just hope they don't overreact." John's face turned serious. "Overreaction is possible. You need to be ready for questions, inspections, anything. Just stay honest and we'll explain what happened. Hours later, the council chamber was full of Draxan leaders. The room was cold, wide, and made of dark metal. Emma entered with John and Lisa. The Draxans stared at her, their eyes hard and unblinking. The silent warrior, Krell, sat in the center, his large hands resting on his knees. He looked at her with a mix of fear and frustration. One of the council members, a female Draxan with dark armor and sharp eyes, spoke first. "Explain, how did a human cause our warrior to become mute? Did you use a weapon? Did you attack him?" Emma shook her head. "No weapon," she said. "I did not attack. I only did my job. He grabbed me by the collar and something happened. I do not understand it. I swear I meant no harm." Another Draxan spoke. "Your kind is dangerous. This is not the first story we've heard. Humans have survived planets that should have destroyed them. Now you make our strongest warrior unable to speak. We fear you." Emma swallowed. "I understand your fear, but humans are not trying to hurt anyone. We survive because we are careful, we plan, and we protect ourselves. Nothing I did was intended to harm your soldier." John stepped forward. "We are willing to explain everything. Humans have unique biology. Our nervous systems can react to extreme stress. Sometimes this can affect other species in unexpected ways. It is not a weapon. It is a natural reaction." The council murmured among themselves. They looked uncertain. Some whispered that this could be a trick, a hidden human ability to dominate other species. Others considered the possibility that humans were simply strange but not dangerous. Krell, the silent warrior, shifted uncomfortably. His large claws tapped the floor, making a sharp sound. He could not speak, but his eyes said everything. He was angry, confused, and fearful. He had never felt this weakness before, and it scared him. Emma looked at him. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "You didn't deserve this. I didn't mean for any of it to happen." Krell stared at her, his dark eyes sharp, but something in them softened slightly. He realized she was not a threat. She was small, fragile in appearance, and yet there was a calm strength about her. He did not understand it fully, but he felt it. The Draxan Council decided to keep Krell in observation. They would not punish him, but they wanted to study the event. Other alien species on the station were already talking. News of the incident had spread to nearby systems. Whispers of human danger began to spread like wildfire. Outside the council chambers, Emma walked slowly with Lisa. "Do you think they believe us?" Emma asked. Her hands shook slightly. Lisa shook her head. "Some do, some don't. The galaxy is scared. Humans survive in ways no one understands. We will have to show them we are controlled, not violent." As night fell, the station lights reflected off the metal walls. Emma could hear distant engines and the hum of ships. She thought about Earth and her family, the quiet life she had left behind. She wondered how humans could explain themselves to creatures who had never seen Earth's storms, disasters, and struggles. The next day, human scientists began working with Draxan engineers to study Krell. They found that his vocal cords and neural pathways were functioning, but his brain signals were disrupted. The contact with Emma triggered an unexpected reaction in his nervous system. It was not harmful, but it was confusing and frightening. Emma watched quietly as the scientists worked. She wanted to help, but she was not trained in alien biology. She could, however, explain human behavior. She spoke with the Draxan carefully. "We survive because we adapt. Fear, stress, and danger shaped our species. We learn to act quickly to control our strength and to protect ourselves. It is not a weapon, it is survival." Some Draxans seemed to understand. Others remained suspicious. The galaxy was vast and news traveled fast. By the end of the day, reports had reached neighboring systems. Fleets began to move cautiously, worried about the humans and their strange abilities. Emma could feel the weight of it. Humans were being noticed, and not always for good reasons. She thought about Krell, trapped in silence, and wondered how long it would take for the Draxan to trust her again. She also thought about the future. If humans were feared for something they did not control, would peace be possible? As she walked back to her room, Emma realized humans were stronger than many believed, not just physically, but mentally. They could survive stress, danger, and fear and still act with reason. She thought about how she had remained calm when Krell grabbed her, and how her reaction had shown a hidden strength. That night, Emma could not sleep. She stared at the stars again, feeling a mixture of fear and pride. Humans were small in the galaxy, but even small creatures could leave a mark. She thought about the coming days, when she and other humans would have to explain themselves, defend themselves, and earn trust. John Miller returned to her room. "Emma, the situation is growing," he said. "Other species are preparing. They fear humans might weaponize this reaction. We need to be ready to show them we are not a threat." Emma nodded. "I understand. I just hope Krell recovers soon. He didn't deserve this." "And neither did we, really. It was just an accident," Lisa added. "Accidents can be dangerous. The galaxy is watching, but humans have a way of showing control. We survive because we are careful and we think. That is what we will show them." The next morning, Emma returned to the observation room where Krell was kept. He sat quietly, his large form tense. When he saw her, his dark eyes followed her every move. She spoke softly. "I want to help you, I promise. No one wants to hurt you." Krell blinked slowly. He could not respond with words, but his body relaxed slightly. For the first time since the incident, there was a moment of understanding between them. Humans and Draxon, two very different species, had found a connection without violence. Outside the observation room, the station continued its work. Fleets moved cautiously in nearby systems. The galaxy was beginning to fear humans, but also to notice them. Emma understood something important. Humans were not just survivors, they were capable of more than anyone imagined. And deep inside, she felt determination. Humans could be feared, yes, but they could also choose restraint. They could survive not by dominating, but by acting wisely. The galaxy might fear them, but humans had the power to earn respect instead. As she left the room, Emma thought quietly about the future. Humans had shown a small glimpse of their strength. Now they would have to show the galaxy that strength could be controlled. That was the challenge ahead. The first real test had passed, but the tension in the galaxy was only growing. Whispers of humans as dangerous creatures spread and fleets prepared. Emma knew the coming days would be filled with scrutiny, questions, and fear. But she also knew humans had something the galaxy underestimated: the ability to survive, to adapt, and to choose calm over chaos. And for now, that was enough to face the growing storm. Krell sat alone in the observation chamber. The room was large and empty except for a few monitoring devices. Light from the station's ceiling reflected softly on the metal floor. He had not spoken since the incident with Emma. Every attempt to make a sound ended in silence. Frustration and anger built inside him like a storm he could not release. He could see Emma through the glass. She worked with the scientists, explaining human systems and behaviors. She was calm and patient, moving carefully, her small hands steady even when she was nervous. Something about her presence made Krell feel a strange mix of fear and curiosity. He did not understand it fully, but he could not stop watching. Emma noticed him too. She stood near the glass holding a small tool and waved. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you. I want to help." Krell blinked slowly. He wanted to speak, to roar, to tell her he hated this silence, but he could not. Instead, he looked away and focused on the floor. His mind raced. Humans were small, fragile, yet somehow powerful. He had seen the reaction his body had during contact. He could not control it, and that scared him more than anything. Over the next days, Emma and the scientists worked to understand what had happened. Human doctors examined her, scanning her nervous system. They found that extreme stress and fear triggered unusual responses in humans, responses that could affect some alien neural systems under direct contact. It was not a weapon, it was survival. Emma explained it to Krell carefully. She could not speak to him directly, but gestures and notes helped. She showed him diagrams of human reactions, of adrenaline and stress hormones, of nerves and muscles working together. She wanted him to understand that she had not attacked him and that humans were not trying to harm the Draxan. Krell watched silently. His sharp eyes followed every motion. He could see the truth in her gestures. She was calm, even when explaining her own fear. She was honest. He began to feel something unfamiliar, trust. It was small, fragile, but it grew a little every day. John Miller and Lisa Brown worked with the council to calm tensions. Fleets in nearby systems were on alert. Rumors of human danger had reached many worlds. Some species assumed humans had secret powers, ready to dominate others. John knew they had to act carefully. Humanity had to prove they were controlled, not violent. Emma spent hours with Krell. She showed him human history, simple drawings of Earth, of storms, of predators and disasters. Humans survive because we learn, she explained with gestures and notes. We act fast, we adapt, we are small but we endure. Krell looked at the drawings. He saw humans fighting wild animals, surviving floods, enduring famine and fire. He realized humans had faced constant danger and learned to control themselves. He had thought humans were fragile, but they were strong in a quiet way he did not fully understand. One evening, Emma stayed late in the observation room. Krell sat near the wall, silent but alert. She put down a small cup of water. "Drink," she said softly. He hesitated, then moved slowly and drank. She smiled faintly. "Good," she said. "See, I only want to help." Krell's eyes lingered on her. He remembered the moment he had grabbed her collar. He had expected fear, panic, or weakness. Instead, she had stayed steady. She had survived without striking him. He realized humans were not like other species. They did not always fight with strength alone. They survived with control, with patience, with mind and body together. The council continued to observe. Some Draxan officers were skeptical, but others were beginning to understand. Krell's behavior had changed slightly. He no longer tried to resist, no longer struck out in anger. He watched, listened, and considered. He began to wonder if humans were truly different, if they could be trusted. Emma spent time explaining the simplest things. She drew images of Earth's landscapes, humans working together, humans helping each other. She wanted Krell to see that humans were not violent by nature. They were careful, aware, and able to act when needed. Slowly, Krell began to respond. He moved his hands to indicate understanding. He nodded once when she pointed to a diagram showing human reactions under stress. The smallest sign, but it was progress. For the first time since the incident, Krell felt a connection with a human that was not about strength or fear. Outside the observation room, the station continued to hum with activity. Fleets were on edge. Neighboring species debated what to do. Humans were being watched closely. Some whispered that humans could be dangerous if provoked. Others wondered if humans could be allies. Emma noticed the tension and felt a quiet determination. Humans were small, fragile, and unarmed, yet the galaxy feared them. She understood the irony. Humans survived not because they dominated, but because they endured, adapted, and controlled themselves. She wanted Krell to see that too. One day, Emma brought a small game. It was simple, made of light cubes that moved. She explained the rules using gestures and notes. Krell watched, curious. She moved the cubes carefully, showing strategy, patience, and control. Krell attempted to follow. His first moves were clumsy, but he began to understand. He was learning human ways, not to fight, but to think, to anticipate, to control. The days turned into weeks. Krell's silence remained, but his mind grew sharper. He began to recognize human behavior patterns, predicting movements and reactions. He realized humans were dangerous, but in a different way than he had imagined. Humans were not weapons of destruction. They were creatures of endurance, strategy, and unexpected strength. Emma noticed the change. She smiled faintly when he nodded slightly during their game. She understood his mind was opening. She knew trust was growing. And she knew that if Krell could understand humans, other species could too. The galaxy could learn that humans were not simple prey, but capable beings. One afternoon, John Miller called Emma. "The Council wants a report," he said. "They want to know if humans are safe to interact with other species. Krell's behavior is key." Emma nodded. "He is learning. Slowly, he is beginning to understand. Humans are careful, controlled, and able to survive. It will take time, but he will see it." Krell watched as Emma prepared her report. He could not speak, but he could think. He considered her words, her calm actions, her patience. He realized humans had faced dangers he could not imagine, survived disasters that would have destroyed other species, and yet remained measured. He understood that humans were dangerous, yes, but not because they sought to harm. They were dangerous because they survived. The council chamber met again. Emma presented her observations. She used drawings, gestures, and simple explanations. "Humans survive because we adapt," she explained. "We are not violent by nature. We endure stress, danger, and fear, and we control our actions. It is not a weapon, it is survival." The council listened carefully. Some nodded, some remained skeptical. Krell sat silently, observing. He could not speak, but he could see the truth in her words. Humans were not weak, not fragile, not simple. They were strong in ways that could not be measured by brute force alone. Outside the station, the galaxy began to notice the change. Fleets remained cautious, but whispers shifted slightly. Humans were no longer just feared. They were respected for their control, their resilience, and their unexpected strength. Emma continued her work with Krell. Each day, each gesture, each lesson brought him closer to understanding. He began to accept her help willingly, drinking water, following instructions, and learning human ways. He realized that humans were not creatures to underestimate. Their strength was quiet, hidden, and deadly in its own way. For the first time, Krell felt respect for a human. Not fear, not anger, but respect. And he realized that humans had something he did not fully understand: the power to survive, to endure, and to choose calm over chaos. Emma looked at him with a small smile. She knew that understanding between species was difficult but possible. Humans had survived the galaxy's unknown dangers for thousands of years. And now, even in this small chamber, a silent Draxan warrior was beginning to understand why. The galaxy was watching. Humans were no longer simple visitors. They were creatures of endurance, capable of showing control even in dangerous situations. Krell's journey of understanding had begun, and with it, a small bridge of trust between species was forming. And Emma knew, quietly, that humans had something the galaxy had not yet fully seen: a hidden strength that came from survival, patience, and control. The future would be difficult, but humans were ready. The silent warrior was learning, and slowly, carefully, the galaxy was beginning to see humans as something more than fragile creatures. They were something dangerous, yes, but controlled, capable of great power without meaning harm. And that realization, Emma thought, was only the beginning. The galaxy was tense. News of the incident with Emma Carter and Krell, the Draxan warrior, had spread quickly. Fleets moved cautiously near human space. Many species whispered fears about humans. Some believed humans could intentionally disable powerful aliens with just touch or presence. Even without weapons, humans had gained attention, and the galaxy was uneasy. On the station, Emma and her team prepared for another council meeting. She had spent weeks with Krell, helping him understand humans. Slowly, he had begun to trust her and accept her help. She wanted to present the truth. Humans were strong, yes, but their strength came from endurance, survival, and careful control, not from aggression. John Miller spoke to Emma before the meeting. "Emma, other species are preparing fleets. They are nervous. Some may misinterpret what we've shown them. We need to make our position clear. Humans are not threats unless forced to be. Emma nodded. I understand. Krell can help. He has begun to see humans as controlled. If he speaks, it could calm the council, maybe even the galaxy. Krell had recovered enough to communicate, though his voice was weak at first. He watched Emma carefully, remembering the first time he had grabbed her collar and the strange reaction that followed. He understood now that humans were not fragile, and that their control over themselves made them unpredictable and dangerous in a quiet way. The council chamber was packed. Draxan leaders sat at the front, with humans and other species observing from the sides. The atmosphere was tense. Many species had sent representatives, their eyes sharp and suspicious. Whispers ran through the room. Are humans a threat? Can they control this power? What if they decide to attack? Emma stepped forward. She spoke slowly, using gestures and simple words. Humans survive because we learn, she said. We adapt. We endure danger, stress, and fear. We are not violent by nature. We act only when necessary. What happened with Krell was not a weapon. It was a human reaction to stress. Krell stood beside her, his large hands folded in front of him. He nodded slightly. When he spoke, his voice was low but firm. I am Krell. I am a Draxan warrior. I have lived among humans for weeks. I have seen their ways. They are not weak. They are not cruel. They are careful, controlled, and capable. They do not attack without reason. Humans survive. That is their strength, the council murmured. Some looked shocked. Others leaned forward. They had never heard a Draxan warrior speak such words in defense of humans. Krell's testimony carried weight. He had been their strongest warrior, yet he spoke with honesty and understanding. Emma continued, We ask for trust. Humans are not here to dominate. We are here to explore, to trade, to learn. We survive through control, not aggression. Our strength is in endurance, our power in restraint. One of the council members, a female Draxan with silver armor, spoke. If humans are not violent, why did your contact disable Krell? Our fleets fear that your species may be unpredictable. Emma answered simply. Humans have reactions shaped by survival. Stress and fear can trigger responses. Sometimes other species are affected. It is not intentional, it is biology. Humans act carefully. We do not use this as a weapon. Krell added, I have been among humans. I have learned. They are not dangerous because they seek to harm. They are dangerous because they survive. They control themselves. That is what makes them strong. The council whispered among themselves. Some Draxan were still cautious, but others nodded. The presence of Krell, their own warrior defending humans, made a difference. Slowly, the room shifted from fear to cautious respect. Outside the chamber, fleets in nearby systems were still on alert. News of the meeting traveled quickly. Reports described humans not as violent conquerors, but as controlled, resilient, and capable of endurance. Other species began to reconsider their assumptions. Humans were strong, yes, but strength without cruelty made them something new in the galaxy, a species that could survive and command respect without domination. Emma returned to Krell after the meeting. You did well, she said softly. You helped them understand. Krell looked at her. You showed me humans are different. I see now. We fear what we do not understand. We respect what survives. Emma smiled. And now they will have to respect us too. Humans do not seek conflict, but we survive. That is enough to gain attention. Over the following days, Emma and her team worked to help Krell fully recover. They monitored his nervous system, tested his vocal cords, and guided him through exercises to regain strength. Krell learned more about human behavior, patience, and careful control. His silence was gone, replaced by understanding and growing respect for the humans around him. The galaxy continued to react. Some species prepared defenses, still cautious. Others reached out for dialogue, curious about humans and their unexpected resilience. The whispers shifted. Humans were not only survivors but thinkers, planners, and restrained. Humans could be powerful without intending harm, and that made them unpredictable and remarkable. Emma reflected on the events. Humans had survived on Earth for thousands of years, facing predators, disasters, and constant danger. Their strength was hidden, subtle, and adaptive. It was not obvious in combat or firepower, but it showed in calm decisions, endurance, and strategy. That was the gift humans carried into the galaxy. John Miller approached her one evening. "Emma, your report and Krell's testimony have changed opinions. Fleets are still cautious, but the dialogue has begun. Humans are being seen as a species to respect, not fear." Emma nodded. "We survived without fighting. That is the power. People will notice if we continue to act with control, even under pressure." Krell joined them. "Humans do not seek violence, but they endure it. That is their strength. I will speak for them. Other Draxan will listen." Emma looked at him. "Thank you. Your help made a difference. Your voice showed the galaxy what humans are capable of." As weeks passed, humans began to interact more openly with the station and visiting species. Trade negotiations continued. Scientific research expanded. Humans were observed carefully, but with growing respect. Fleets that had feared sudden attacks now watched with curiosity. Humans were no longer just fragile creatures. They were capable, careful, and able to survive challenges the galaxy had never expected. Emma spent more time teaching Krell. She showed him simple games, exercises, and methods to observe humans. He learned quickly, understanding not just their biology but their minds. He saw how humans planned, adapted, and controlled themselves under stress. He began to understand why humans survived on Earth for so long despite predators, storms, and disasters. One day, Krell looked at Emma and spoke clearly. "I understand now. Humans are not dangerous because they seek to harm. They are dangerous because they survive, and they do so with control. That is strength. That is power." Emma smiled. "And now the galaxy can see that too. Humans do not need weapons to be respected. Our survival is our proof." Outside the station, the galaxy slowly adjusted to the presence of humans. Fleets lowered alerts in some systems. Species that had prepared for conflict began to send envoys for dialogue. Humans were no longer only feared. They were noticed for resilience, patience, and control. Emma realized the importance of what had happened. Humans had survived not by conquering or destroying, but by enduring, observing, and acting wisely. The galaxy had seen a small glimpse of that power, and it was enough to change opinions. Krell stood beside her, observing the stars. "Humans survive because they are careful," he said. "They endure danger, but they do not strike first. They survive without seeking war. That is the lesson for all of us." Emma nodded. "And if the galaxy learns that, humans can live in peace, even if others fear us at first. We survive, and we survive wisely." The station continued its work. Humans and Draxan cooperated more closely. Other species sent envoys to learn from humans. Fleets remained cautious, but slowly respect replaced fear. Emma and Krell had shown the galaxy that humans were not fragile, not weak, but capable of endurance, restraint, and wisdom. And in the quiet moments, Emma reflected on how far humans had come. They had survived disasters on Earth, evolved to endure stress and danger, and now, in the vast galaxy, they were being noticed not for aggression but for control and survival. The galaxy had feared humans, yes, but now it began to respect them. Krell looked at her again. "I will tell my people, they must understand humans, not as weak creatures but as survivors, not as enemies but as beings capable of control." Emma smiled faintly. "That is the start. If more species see humans this way, the galaxy will be safer for everyone. Humans do not seek war, but we survive. That is our power." And so, humanity's reputation began to change. Fleets and species still watched, but humans had earned attention and respect. The story of Emma and Krell was spreading, teaching the galaxy a new lesson. Humans survive, endure, and control themselves, and that alone is enough to gain respect across the stars. The galaxy was still tense, but change was in the air. Fleets that had once hovered near human space in suspicion now observed more carefully. Whispers of fear were slowly replaced with cautious respect. Humans had shown that their strength came from control, patience, and survival, not aggression. Emma Carter had become a symbol of that understanding, and Krell, the Draxan warrior, was the proof. Krell had recovered fully. His voice returned, strong and clear. He moved with the grace of a trained warrior, but there was a calmness in him now, a quiet understanding. He had watched humans closely, learned their ways, and come to respect them deeply. He was no longer silent, but he spoke with care, choosing words that conveyed meaning without anger. Emma spent her mornings teaching Krell about human culture and history. She drew simple images of Earth, mountains, oceans, storms, forests, and deserts. She explained how humans survived disasters, predators, and constant danger. Krell listened, fascinated. He could see how humans had evolved to endure, adapt, and control themselves. "You see, Krell," Emma said one morning, pointing to a drawing of a stormy ocean, "humans survive because we think, we plan, and we control our reactions. We are small, but we endure. We survive challenges that would destroy others." Krell nodded slowly. "I understand now," he said. "Humans are not weak. They are dangerous, but in a way that does not seek destruction. They survive with control. That is their power." Emma smiled. "And that is what the galaxy needs to understand. Humans do not seek war, but we survive. And that is enough to earn respect." Later that day, the council called another meeting. This time it was not tense. Humans and Draxan, along with other species, gathered to hear Krell speak. He stood before the council, his posture calm and strong. Emma stood beside him, ready to support him if needed. "I speak for my people," Krell began. "Humans are not violent unless forced. They are small, fragile in appearance, but their strength is hidden. They survive danger, stress, and fear with control. They endure what others cannot. That is why humans should be respected, not feared." The council listened quietly. Whispers ran through the chamber, but this time they were different. There was curiosity, understanding, and even awe. Krell continued, recounting his time with Emma, how she had remained calm under stress, how humans survived without seeking conflict. "I touched a human," Krell said, "and I learned something important. Humans are not predators but survivors. They control their strength. They endure fear without harming others. That is what makes them dangerous, and that is what makes them worthy of respect." Emma watched silently, proud but calm. She knew humans had shown restraint, and now the galaxy could see it too. The council members looked at one another, their expressions changing. Respect was slowly replacing fear. After the meeting, the council made new regulations. All species were instructed to recognize humans as a capable species, not to be underestimated, and never to touch humans aggressively. Fleets that had prepared for conflict began to withdraw. Ambassadors from other species requested meetings with humans to learn more about them, not to attack. Outside the station, Emma walked with Krell. The stars stretched endlessly around them. "It is different now," she said. "The galaxy is beginning to see humans for who we are." Krell nodded. "Yes, humans survive, and now the galaxy respects them. Your calm, your patience, your ability to endure, that is power. I will tell my people and others will listen." Emma smiled faintly. "It is not about power, it is about survival. We endure. We survive without hurting others. That is what makes humans strong." Over the next weeks, humans and Draxan worked closely. Emma helped with trade negotiations, sharing knowledge of human biology and psychology. Krell assisted, using his experience and new understanding to guide other Draxan in interacting with humans. Slowly, tensions eased. Fleets returned to normal patrols, still cautious, but no longer prepared for conflict. Emma reflected on the journey. Humans had been noticed not for weapons or aggression, but for survival. They had shown the galaxy that even without intending harm, they could command respect through control, patience, and endurance. The galaxy had feared humans, yes, but now it was beginning to understand them. One evening, Krell approached Emma. "I have spoken to my people," he said. "They understand humans now. They respect your strength, your control, and your patience. They see that humans survive not by dominating but by enduring. That is the lesson I will carry." Emma nodded. "Thank you, Krell. Your voice made a difference. The galaxy will listen because of you." Krell smiled faintly, a gesture almost human. Humans survive because they endure. They do not strike first. They think, they adapt, they control. That is power. That is respect. Emma looked at the stars. She thought of Earth, of her family, of the people she had left behind. Humans had survived storms, predators, famine, and war. Now they had survived the galaxy's fear and emerged respected. It was not conquest or violence that had won this. It was endurance, patience, and careful control. The days passed, and humans continued to work with the station and visiting species. Fleets observed, ambassadors visited, and dialogue replaced suspicion. The galaxy slowly recognized humans as a species capable of great resilience and quiet strength. Emma and Krell spent quiet moments together, talking, sharing observations, and learning from each other. Krell's understanding of humans grew deeper. He admired their calmness under stress, their patience, and their ability to survive without dominating. He realized that humans were not only survivors, they were teachers of endurance and control. One afternoon, Emma drew a simple image of humans standing together, helping one another during a storm. "This is what we do," she said. "We survive together. We protect each other. That is why humans endure." Krell nodded slowly. "I see now. Humans survive because they endure together. That is their strength. That is their power, and the galaxy must respect that." As weeks turned into months, humans earned a reputation across the galaxy. Fleets no longer moved nervously near human space. Ambassadors sought dialogue, not confrontation. Humans were respected for their patience, their endurance, and their restraint. The story of Emma and Krell became a symbol of what humans could do: survive, endure, and gain respect without intending harm. Emma reflected quietly. Humans had survived for thousands of years on Earth, facing countless dangers. Now they had survived the galaxy's suspicion. Their strength was hidden, subtle, and adaptive. It was not obvious in firepower or combat skill, but it was clear to anyone who observed carefully. Humans could endure, control, and survive anything. Krell stood beside her, looking out at the stars. "I will speak for humans," he said. "My people will listen. Others will too. Humans are not fragile, not weak. They survive. That is enough to earn respect across the stars." Emma smiled. "Yes, Krell, that is the beginning. Humans do not seek war, but we survive. We endure. We control, and the galaxy will see that. Slowly, carefully, but they will see it." The station continued its work. Humans and Draxon collaborated. Other species observed, learned, and began to respect humans. Fleets returned to normal, still watchful but no longer fearful. The galaxy had changed, not through aggression but through understanding. Emma and Krell spent quiet evenings observing the stars. They spoke of Earth, of human resilience, and of the galaxy's vastness. Krell understood now that humans were not weak, not fragile, but strong in a quiet, controlled way. He knew the galaxy would recognize that power, and Emma knew that humans had accomplished something remarkable. Without weapons, without aggression, they had survived, endured, and earned respect. The galaxy feared them once, but now it watched with curiosity and respect. The final lesson was clear. Humans survived because they endured, adapted, and controlled themselves. They did not dominate, they did not strike first, but their presence alone commanded respect. The galaxy had learned this lesson through Emma, Krell, and the calm strength of humanity. And in that quiet, infinite space, humans stood ready, not as conquerors but as survivors. Their story was just beginning, but the galaxy had already begun to understand. Humans endured, humans survived, and humans earned respect without raising a hand in anger.